Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for August 6th. August 6th is the 218th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 219th in leap years, with 147 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg comes to us from German, in case you didn't know that, and it means an intense, violent military campaign intended to bring about a swift victory. The literal meaning of Blitzkrieg is lightning war. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1538, when Bogata, Colombia was founded. On August 6, 1787, 60 proof sheets of the Constitution of the United States were delivered to the Constitutional Convention at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is the birthday of English poet Alfred Lord Tennyson, born August 6, 1809. He penned a number of famous quotes that many of us have heard and quoted without ever giving a thought as to where they might have come from. For example, nature red in tooth and claw, or 'tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. And my strength is as the strength of 10 because my heart is pure, to name a few. He has many other quotes. He lived to the age of 83. This is the birthday of Sir Alexander Fleming, the Scottish physician and microbiologist who discovered the antimicrobial enzyme lysozyme and penicillin G. He was born on August 6, 1881, and lived to the age of 73. If it feels a little bit like I'm shouting, it kind of feels that way to me too. My camera is considerably farther away from me than it usually is. And I don't know if it can hear me. I guess I'll find out when I download and start editing. On August 6, 1890, the murderer William Kemmler became the first person to be executed by electric chair at the Auburn prison in New York. This is the birthday of English-American geophysicist and businessman Cecil Howard Green, born August 6, 1900. He is one of the co-founders of the Texas Instrument Company. Mr. Green lived to the age of 102. Kiowa land in Oklahoma was opened for white settlement on August 6, 1901, effectively dissolving the contiguous reservation. This is the birthday of the American gangster known as Dutch Schultz, born August 6, 1902. Gangstering is a tough business, and he got crossways with some of his rivals, and they did him in at the age of 33. I know there's a bunch of people out there that are going to know who I'm talking about before I get it all said, and that is that this is the birthday of Henry Iba, born August 6, 1904. He was a basketball coach and college athletics administrator. His name was added to the name of Gallagher Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma, sometimes called the Madison Square Garden of the Plains. Henry Iba lived to the age of 88. This is the birthday of American actress, television producer, and businesswoman Lucille Ball, born August 6, 1911. She lived to the age of 77. This is the birthday of American actor Robert Mitchum, born August 6, 1917. He lived to the age of 79. A woman named Gertrude Ederle became the first woman to swim the English Channel on August 6, 1926. This is the birthday of American painter and photographer Andy Warhol, born August 6, 1928. He's credited, of course, with the widely used expression 15 minutes of fame. He died at the age of 58 from post-operative irregular heartbeat after having had a gallbladder surgery. On August 6, 1930, a New York Supreme Court judge, Joseph Forrest Crater, vanished on the streets of Manhattan near Times Square. The dapper 41-year-old's disappearance launched a massive investigation that captivated the nation, earning Crater the title of the missingest man in New York. This is an interesting and gossipy story. It seems he had developed a slightly shady reputation due to his fondness for showgirls. And earlier in the month of August 1930, he'd been on a trip to Maine, left his wife there while he returned to New York, promising that he'd be back in a few days. On the morning of August 6th, he destroyed some documents in his office and moved several portfolios of paper to his apartment, and then arranged to withdraw $5,000 from his bank account. That evening, he met some friends for dinner, and after that dinner, was presumably on his way to attend a Broadway play, but he was never seen again. His unusual behavior leading up to his disappearance led many to surmise that he may have run off with a mistress, one of those showgirls. He might have left the country or been a victim of foul play. His disappearance was so sensational that the phrase "pulling a crater" entered the lexicon of the day as a synonym for going AWOL. Comedians had a field day with it as well. Since no trace of him ever turned up, his wife had him declared dead in 1939, and we might say it was the Jimmy Hoffa of his day. Interestingly, in 2005, a woman died, and upon her passing, it was discovered that she had left a handwritten note saying that her husband and several other men, including a police officer, had murdered Crater and buried his body under a section of the Coney Island boardwalk. That area has since been further developed, so no trace remains of Judge Crater. Here, 4% battery. Ooh. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands became the first reigning queen to address a joint session of the United States Congress on August 6, 1942. On August 6, 1945, Japan was devastated when the atomic bomb Little Boy was dropped by the United States B-29 Enola Gay. Around 70,000 people were killed instantly, and some tens of thousands died in subsequent years from burns and radiation poisoning. On August 6, 1960, Cuba nationalized American and foreign-owned property in the nation. Sure, that didn't go over well with the former property owners. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965 into law on August 6, 1965. This was a law drafted to prohibit racial discrimination in voting. On August 6, 1991, Tim Berners-Lee released files describing his idea for the World Wide Web. WWW debuted as a publicly available service on the internet. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I guess that's about it. So, images are retrieved from Bing Images, either public domain or licensed free to use and share. I think the correct terminology is free to share and use. Our lovely outro music is Divine Life Society by Jesse Gallagher from YouTube Music Library, and there's a link to his channel in the show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, that's right. Back it up. Cool. This is what happens when you don't clean up your script. Woo, what was that? Don't eat while you're recording. Thank you. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.